Welcome back. So this week was rough, to say the least, and you'll see what I mean pretty quick off the bat. We'll start with the zucchini. So here you can see poor Mr. Zucchini. He's still growing very well currently, but you can see a couple of things wrong. You can see this yellow leaf here, another really ugly looking yellow leaf down here, and this poor broken guy, and some more yellow leaves down there. And the first problem that I think is going wrong is we're trying to grow 2 zucchini plants in this one little 5-gallon planter, and it's not even full all the way with soil. So we have something pretty big planned, and I'll do next week's video after we get that project done. So ideally I would have mentioned that at the end as kind of a cliffhanger, but I didn't because I'm bad. So the second problem is, especially with this poor broken leaf over here, is that we have technically landscapers here, but my mom likes to call them whackers. But my mom affectionately calls them whackers, and that's a pretty apt name. So they came this week to trim this creeping fig that we have along the fence and this hedge that we have running along the back side of the garden. And what they do is they come in and trim, yes, but they take no care in doing it. They just try to get the job done as quickly as possible and move on. And that led to some damage here in the garden. One of the clear examples being this leaf here and a couple of broken stems down under there. You can see that one and that one right there. So Mr. Zucchini here probably took the biggest brunt of the damage from him. But there are some other examples as we go along. Marigolds are still growing very well. My mom's lemongrass is incredible, I think. Her blueberries are looking a bit greener this week, which I'm very happy about. I put some fertilizer that should hopefully make the soil a little more acidic for them, but and some coffee grounds, if I remember correctly. So hopefully they'll like that a bit better. We'll see as time goes on. And here you can see some of our new arrivals. We have a bunch of them this week. 4, I believe, 4 little Roma tomato seedlings from our nursery. We took them and planted them here. I was afraid that it's probably too early for them to be transplanted, but they seem to be doing okay. This little guy here, this little guy's got a little companion. It was sprouted after we put him in here. I'll probably have to just thin him, but that's for the future. Our eggplants got moved out of their green container and got replaced with some bell peppers, because that's actually originally what we wanted to do, but we forgot and planted 4 eggplants instead of 4 bell peppers, which we hardly ever eat eggplant. We do like it, but we like bell peppers a lot more. So we took out the eggplants and put 2 of them here, and put 2 more out, I think, to be given away. And we'll get to that once we get to the nursery. But these are the eggplants that are left, and they're growing, I think, very well so far. Looks like they didn't even realize that they got transplanted again, which I'm very happy about. So let's take a look at our bell peppers here. We have in this tub 3 small red bell peppers. That guy, and this guy. And then we also have 1 more green bell pepper, although it appears that there's another seedling growing right there. Unfortunately, I'll probably have to thin him too. But they seem to be doing well. Another Roma tomato seedling here. He's got his true leaves coming out, same as I think all of them. So I think they're doing pretty well. The marigolds, you can see them up close here, are doing just awesome. Really happy about them. One of our Biggest casualties this week is our poor little celery plant. He's not doing too hot. I'm not sure why, but it might be the same reason as the romaine lettuce. So I researched and couldn't really find much, except that perhaps the romaine lettuce doesn't like growing back from the end that we chop off of the romaine head. It gets to a certain point and then it just can't grow anymore because it doesn't develop roots. And I think the same thing has happened with the celery here. So it can't absorb all the moisture that we're giving it, and so it eventually just rots. But yeah, that's my best guess, I think. And here is one of the cuttings that we took off the tall, skinny guy. This one's doing the best out of all of them. It's actually doing pretty awesome. So well, in fact, that it has started sprouting. I don't know if you can see it too well on the video, but some flowers. I don't think I'm going to cut them off just because I think it's so cute. I know I should probably should, but I'm not going to. So I'm going to let him grow because I'm really happy about how well he's doing. Tall skinny guy is actually doing very well. The last stem that I left on him used to come up maybe like that high, and now look at it. It's shot up a lot, and I'm really happy about it. And he's actually got some flowers of his own here. I think all of our big tomato plants have at least one set of flowers, because this guy does, this guy does, and these obviously do. I'll get to them in a second. So yeah, very exciting. We're gonna have a lot of tomatoes. The garlic still doing incredible. They're probably the most exciting for me, just because you know me, I'm addicted to garlic. But this is the first time I've ever grown garlic, so it's just a whole new experience. But they're doing great. The last little Roma tomato seedling that we brought in, doing great. And he's got his own friend. Well, he's actually got two friends there, I think. But he's got some very cute little true leaves there. But definitely gonna have to go in and thin the other ones out. Bell pepper is doing fantastic. I was kind of worried about him for a while because he wasn't growing very fast, but he's definitely growing now, and you can see all the little flower buds that are coming in there. What, 6? Maybe 7 or 8. Wow, there's a lot. So you know I'm excited about that. All right, so the first of the big tomato plants is the Better Boy, and he, I counted the other day, has at least 20 tomatoes coming in, which is astonishing to me. But he's got a little flower here that's opening up, and another flower over here. And as far as I can tell, he's very healthy. But yeah, here's the champion. Ooh, let me zoom out, sorry. And he does have a good amount of flowers coming in, but not as obvious as the other ones. Here's a few in here. I'm not a very good cinematographer, but here's a few in there and a few in that cluster there. But they're not as obvious. The early girl, on the other hand, as you can clearly see, has several flowers coming in. There's some there, but some have already bloomed. So she's definitely living up to her name. But that's tremendously exciting. These should be the first two that are pollinated, but we'll see. Our green onions, who live in the shade of the tomatoes, are not doing so hot. It might be just because they're getting very little sun. But I'm gonna leave them there. They're onions, they'll live. Parsley, I think, has been going through a couple of dry spells, just because he doesn't have any mulch and he dries out pretty fast. So might take a little bit of soil away to give him some mulch. That way he can retain a little more moisture so he doesn't yellow as fast. But otherwise, still looking bushy, still looking good. More marigolds. This is one of the cuttings that I took from the early girl, and it seems to have taken root, and it's nice and perked up. So I think it's doing all right. I think it's gonna make it. This is the smallest cutting that I took from Tall Skinny Guy. I was gonna get rid of him because I don't think he's grown like at all since I took the cutting, but my mom made me keep him because he's cute, so he's still here. Marigold. These are the carrots, or the carrot tub, and we discovered today, much to our dismay, that we should not expect more carrots from those carrot tops, just the greens, because didn't occur to me that the carrot is the taproot, and once you get rid of the taproot, it's not going to grow back. So we're not going to get any more carrots from those. But we should be harvesting the greens, which should be good, and I think we're going to leave the biggest ones to flower and try to get some seeds from them. We're also planning on, we got some carrot seeds, and we're planning on trying to plant a big tub full of them and get some carrots before the summer gets too hot. But we'll see. But the carrot greens are looking good. They're very nice and bushy over here. Like it's so wonderful to just touch them. They're very satisfying. Some nice ones over here, and look at this big guy here, just growing everywhere. It's wonderful. The sage is doing fantastic. It looks so healthy in here. I'm really happy about it. If I go back and look at some of the pictures, hopefully I can edit them in here. We'll see about that. But some of the pictures of what the sage looked like when I planted it, compared to this, it's night and day. They are like two completely different plants. This guy looks awesome. Our green onions, many of them are bolting. So they don't like getting harvested over and over and over again, I think. But I'm planning on letting them flower, so we can try to get some seeds from them and just plant those. I think that'll be pretty good. Marigold. Here we see another casualty of the whackers. My poor onion here. He used to have 7 leaves. He is now down to 4 and 2/2, and he just lost a complete one down at the bottom, the little one. These two got knocked off and crushed, unfortunately, but you can see his flower stalk here, which I'm going to let flower, because again, we should probably not expect a bulb from this onion that sprouted, according to the internet. Same with 2 more onions that I planted down there. So I'm going to let him flower and hopefully get some seeds and plant some red onions next year. Or in the fall, maybe. Don't know. We'll see. But that's exciting. Our 2 sprouted onions are looking pretty good. Pretty healthy. See nothing wrong with them. The beans are unfortunately another casualty. You can see kind of in here one of the ripped leaves. There are some that just got completely torn off. And back here you'll see one of the lentils is just dead. It got accidentally pulled out when we were trying to clean up, because they just left all the leaf debris back there. But I think I've decided that perhaps it's not too good to plant the lentils in the shadow of the beans. You can see here one of them. There is another one under there somewhere. I'm not sure where it is, but I don't think it's going to do too well. It's just getting completely overpowered by the beans. But the ones in the back are okay. The one. Yeah. You can see some holes in some of the bean leaves, like one here, and some spotting over there. And I'll get to that in a second. That's part of the stress of this week. But they are growing real tall. You can see the one over there. He's almost to the second horizontal bar, which is just fantastic. I cannot wait until they start flowering. It's going to be so cool. But this one, unfortunately, one of the plants wrapping up here started wilting. And I think it's just because I didn't water him enough. So he lost one set of leaves down under here, I think. And some have curled up, like you can see this one over here, same thing. So I've learned that I need to water the beans just a little more. These little guys, they got stunted so bad from getting eaten by snails and other pests, have finally started wrapping up on the trellis. I'm so proud of them. Just to see them growing back after everything that they went through in the beginning is just wonderful. And here you can see the beginning of some of the damage from other pests that I mentioned before with the holes in the leaves. I discovered this week, to my horror, what a thrip is. So we have, you can see a little nymph maybe there. I don't know how well you can see it on the camera, but I now know what thrips are, and I hate them. But you can see, like, all the lentil leaves are all speckled. That's thrips. Same thing over there, probably on the one back there as well. Some holes on the leaves here, same thing. Either thrips or leaf miners, but probably thrips. Or some other pests, who knows. But not only do we have thrips, you can see a bunch more damage on this guy here, but we also, I discovered, white flies on the cucumbers. But you can see some of the little sticky traps that I put here. I think there's another one in here. And those have helped a lot with the white flies, at least. But I'm going to be taking some drastic measures, I think, to try to get rid of all the pests that have shown up. I think the thrips came with the oregano plant that we planted, or that we brought from Save Mart, because there's a lot of thrip damage on it, and just the little black speckles that they leave, if you catch my drift. So I think that plant was probably just infested with them, and brought them to the garden, if they weren't here already. I'm not sure, but yeah, what can you do? So I'm going to be trying to get rid of them. I've already tried a couple of things, like the sticky paper has helped a little bit, but not a lot. It doesn't do anything against the larvae and the nymphs. I tried some like an oil spray mixed with what I call hippie soap, but that doesn't seem to have done much. So I'm going to be bringing out the big guns later and using some not insecticides, but insecticides, because once you see the last few tubs of beans, you'll see just how extensive it is. But let's get back to the cucumbers, because I'm really happy. So for a while, they just were not growing. I think it was because, well, a combination of a couple of things. One, they were getting attacked by white flies mostly, although some thrip damage as well. But they also just didn't like the cooler, rainier environment that we were in a couple of weeks ago. And now that it's gotten hot all of a sudden, they love it. Like, look at how much they've grown just in this last week. It's insane. Like, this one even has little flower blossoms coming in already. He's ready to rumble. And he's gotten so tall. Like, he's almost a foot, if not a foot. So, very happy. This has, I think, 4 marigolds in here, and they're all just competing for space. A couple of, oh, this poor guy. He got completely eaten by snails or slugs. But he's still alive, and he's growing back. He's a trooper. So, let's get to the beans. And you should be able to see pretty much off the bat just how speckled all the leaves are. And that's all thrip damage. Almost exclusively thrips, as far as I can tell. And all the lentils as well, they're all speckled. You can see over here, all the black beans are speckled as well. So, yeah, I'm just going to be taking care of that problem with as much force as I can. Hopefully it doesn't hurt the plants anymore, but gotta do what you gotta do. Anyway, they're still pushing through, growing really well. And another thing that I've come to a conclusion is that this big trellis may be completely useless, because all of these appear to be bush beans, not pole beans, so they don't need a trellis. But I'm holding out hope that I'll start seeing some of the little tendrils coming up and trying to wrap around something. But we'll see. But yeah, I mean, you can hardly see the soil anymore from how big they've gotten. It's very, very exciting. The lentils, I'm not sure how well they're doing, just because they've gotten so much damage from these thrips. But they're not dying yet, as far as I can tell, just very stunted. So I'm hoping that after I hopefully get rid of them, that they'll start growing a little better. But we'll see. We'll see. Let's take a look at one of the bigger white beans here. I mean, I don't even know how many leaves he's got. He's got a bunch coming off here. And it looks like more under there, but no tendril as far as I can see, which is tragic. The pinto bean growing fabulously well, but again, I see no tendril, so I don't know, but holding out hope. The other pinto bean doing extremely well as well. Very happy. And all the black beans are all growing just tremendously. But again, they also seem to be bush beans. More lentils, still doing pretty well. This poor guy seems to just be stunted, because he's much smaller than all the other ones. But I don't know what to do except to try to get rid of all the pests, because he has a lot of damage on him. So the potatoes, oh, I hope you're ready for this, because the potatoes are doing awesome since last week. Big potato, still growing real strong. Little potato down here, growing real strong as well. Trying to get some sun over here, away from big potato. But the little red potatoes have grown a lot. Look at this. There was nothing here this last week, if I remember correctly. And now they're just growing like crazy. Look at this guy. Just wonderful. And over here, there are, I think we counted 7 little plants growing. I can't point them all out to you because I don't remember exactly where they all are. I can only see 6 right now, but it's just growing everywhere. So, extremely happy with them. So the nursery looks completely different because we gave away a lot. Basically, I put them out on the driveway with a sign that said free plants, take whatever you want, and almost all of them got taken. I think the only ones that were left were some of the Roma tomato seedlings and a couple of the small red bell pepper ones, but everything else is gone. All of the eggplants were taken, all of the marigolds, some of the bigger tomato cuttings were taken, a lot of the Roma tomato seedlings were taken. It seems like a lot of people were very, very happy to take them, or just one person who really wanted to plant a garden. Don't know. But what's our nursery is another cutting from the early girl, which was one of the experiments that I had in the water. And it was growing some real good roots, so I just put her in the dirt and let her keep growing. Same thing with the champion cutting. I put him in dirt this morning. Seems to be doing fine. These are the seedlings that were left. There were a couple more Roma tomato seedlings, but they unfortunately didn't make it. But these two are small red bell pepper seedlings, and you can see they're starting to get their true leaves. So if you want them, let me know. They are still available. Same with him. He's also a small red bell pepper. Couple more experiments. The watermelon radish is doing what it can. It also can't grow roots or anything. So I'm hoping it'll get, you can see it's trying to form a flower. I'm hoping it gets to actually blooming, and we'll try to take some seeds, but we'll see how he does. So we've moved our herb box to a slightly shadier spot. It should have a couple more hours of shade than where it was before. Just because I think it was getting a little too hot for it, so they were starting to wilt. But we've got several little cilantros growing real well. The tiny basil is adorable, but growing. And then the chives are back there. I don't know how they're doing, but hope they're doing well. Next to them we have my mom's Swiss chard and one of the extra cauliflowers. I think that the cauliflower should be too big, and the Swiss chard will probably also be really big, but my mom wanted to plant them there. So, there they are. And they're doing great. So here are the pumpkins. Look at how absolutely adorable they are. I'm so happy with how they're growing. It makes me really sad to think that I will probably have to thin them somehow. But they are adorable, and I don't want to do that. But I can't let 4 pumpkin plants grow in this one stump. So we'll see. I haven't come to any decisions on that. But just look at them. They're beautiful. Beautiful. So we've moved around quite a few of our plants in the back section of the garden. You'll see here a cauliflower and one of the Brussels sprouts. This is kind of an experiment because they're more cool weather crops. So every time that the sun was hitting them, they were wilting basically immediately. And I'm kind of afraid that that'll be maybe a little too much stress for them. So to counteract that, I've moved them to a spot that's basically just always shady. And I know it's not good for full sun plants to be in constant shade, but kind of an experiment. So we'll see how they do. So far, they seem to be doing all right, but I feel like they won't grow as tall, I think. So here's my mom's kale, which is just beautiful. It's a very massageable plant. I really like just touching it. It's got such an interesting texture, and it tastes pretty good, contrary to popular belief, but I like it. The salad greens are looking just fabulous. Like, some of them are getting real big. Very exciting. I don't think we've actually harvested any yet, because I think we're trying to let them mature, but that's my mom's call, not mine. So she will probably start taking leaves pretty soon, and we'll see what that does to them. I don't know. You'll see we've moved the cauliflower and Brussels sprouts, the two that we saw before, and over here are where the other two are. Sorry about the mess there. This is a cauliflower, and this is the other two Brussels sprouts. This side gets maybe an hour or two, maybe 3 of sun. So it's almost complete darkness, but not as complete as over there. So again, kind of experimenting to see which they like more. The peas, let me get to them real quick, are doing great. Oh, very, very sad. Poor little Timmy finally passed away this past week, and I left him a little, essentially, gravestone, just because he touched my heart, and it was such a tragic story for me. But there, I buried him there, and he will stay with us forever. Anyways, spinach doing great as far as I can tell. They're all doing pretty good. The peas are growing wonderfully. The guy over here in the corner, not doing so hot. I'm hoping he'll make it. Don't know. But all the other ones doing just fabulous. They've almost made it to the horizontal. It looks closer to me than it does on the video, but they're wonderful. And I love how they just grab on so well. Like, you can see how they're wrapping onto basically everything, whether it's each other, the trellis, for this one, the other trellis. He's grabbed on a couple of times over here. It's just so nice to see them. And like the beans, I just can't wait until they start flowering, because I'm definitely going to be munching on these as much as possible. Over here, my mom's rosemary is hiding a cool thing that I haven't seen before this year anyway, and that's an aloe vera flower. I don't know if I showed this last week, but they're starting to open, and it is very, very cool, very interesting to me. The fig tree back there in the background, and that's essentially this week's update. So like I said at the beginning, it was a stressful week for me. It was a rough week, but hopefully everything's pulling through, and hopefully when I try to get rid of all the pests, it actually works this time, because it's very distressing for me to see all the work that I've put in getting eaten by pests. So I'm going to do what I can. Hopefully it works. And I'm looking forward to next week, because there's a bunch of really big changes. Well, not a bunch, but there's definitely several big changes coming. The hint that I gave you at the beginning was it has to do with the zucchini. But there are also some other plants that it will be affecting as well. But I'll leave that as a cliffhanger for next week. So, take care.